evening to you all out there, and welcome into another episode of the Bark and Brown Show. I'm Jacob, Mr. Casey Kinnaman, and Nick Carnes down below. We're brought to you as always by our friends over at SeatGeek. The season's almost here, man. 19 days. The season opener is 19 days from today. If you want to go watch the Browns beat the Cowboys at home, go to our friends over at SeatGeek. Use our promo code BarkingBrowns. Get $20 off that purchase for tickets, or go to a different game. Do that way. $20 off whatever game, whatever event you want to go to. Get your tickets at SeatGeek. Use our promo code. If you're on Twitter or Twitch or Facebook and you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please fix that. Go to youtube.com/@thebarkingbrowns. Sub.
And we'll love you.
All that good stuff. Gentlemen, how are we? I'm going to try to fix this glare.
Doing good, man. Got some sick kids on my hands, though. School just started back up and like clockwork. These little petri dishes are sick already. So just trying to navigate that. I'm staying on the up and up. Hopefully I can pull through without getting sucked down into their sickness. But, other than that, everything's gravy.
I just started watching the animated series of Trailer Park Boys. Highly recommend. Right? It's on Netflix. Like I'm not ready for the original series to end. Right? So I'm just like on the final season unfinished. And I was like, I'm going to start the animated series Trailer Park Boys. It's great, by the way. But I just want to remind, too, if you are considering subscribing, think about also that you could be entered to win a Browns jersey because we're less than 100 subscribers away from giving one away because we'll be at 1,000 and we love you. Also, last thing, Brian Rocchio just went yard and broke the tie, which a Guards game that started out really rough. And now the Guardians are leading. So we'll see.
I thought I could, manage my turn dark mode on or something to fix this glare. It didn't.
I have glasses behind the scenes. I have glasses too. Just the reflection is just oof.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. All right. So let's get into it. A lot to talk about. We're just 4 days from the preseason finale, 4 days from getting kind of a glimpse, the first real and only glimpse we'll really get of the what the Browns may look like into the regular season. With Kevin Stefanski's comments today, I think it's very important that he does plan to play his starters, all of them. He's straight up was like, if you're a starter, expect to play. Now, I think there's going to be some exceptions, some of the veterans and things like that. And there's also the Deshaun Watson things still up in the air. But I'll start with this because we're going to talk about offensive tackle and what's going on at offensive tackle right now, which has a lot to do with this. But I want to go and just talk about the overall starters playing in the preseason. There's just so much discourse around that right now. There's so much discourse around whether your starter should play in the preseason finale or at all or anything like that. And I know without going too much into the offensive tackle side of things, how do you feel about starters needing or not needing to starters play time in the preseason, I guess?
Case by case basis. I don't think it's necessary for every starter. I don't think Joel Bitonio, how many times does he need to do this before it's like, yeah, I know he'll be himself on day one. Some players need to ramp up. I know a lot of the discourses around Deshaun, and for me, I don't give a shit about because it didn't matter. He could light it up, and it doesn't really mean anything for the regular season. He could go out there and look like shit. Wouldn't mean anything for the regular season. For me, it's all operational. For me, this is a whole new offensive staff, and they all have to get the play in, and he's got to get it in the huddle, and they got to get to the line and figure everything out in time to run motions and identify, defenses and do protection stuff. You do that with time on task. So that I'd like him to get a few series, 2, but more than anything, I want you to get out healthy. Mm-hmm. So for me, that's what it is. Do I think anyone on the defense really needs to do this? No. I don't.
Probably not.
But look, dude, each year of Stefanski's regime, they've pulled this back a little. You know, they've played less and less of their starters year over year. To this point, I think it's 2% of starters of 2% of the snaps have been played by starters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, I don't know. Let's get that up to 7, I guess, and then pull everyone. I don't think it means anything though, as far as like I'd have to see something out of these guys for it to mean shit on September 8th, because I don't think it does.
I think I could start by saying I understand it's a preseason game, but on the other hand, I also know that the coaching staff and the team themselves were not happy with how they handled the West Coast trip last year. Mm-hmm. Keep in mind they lose to the Broncos, they lose to the Rams, they lose to the Seahawks, right? They did not have a good time going west. So I also know that the Browns had some input on who their preseason opponents would be, and they wanted to go west, right? So I think Kevin Stefanski was a lot more candid than I think he typically is when he was asked about the starters today, and I think it was today, but he said that the starters everybody should expect to play, right? Because I think that they want to do a improved version of the West Coast trip that they did last year. And that is why they're playing at this awkward time. And that is why they're going all the way to Seattle, because normally in the past, the Browns have kept it really close, right? They'll go to like Chicago or Detroit or somewhere that's not far, right? So from that perspective, I think that the coaching staff is going to want to see these guys get out there. And I also agree, though, that especially the defense probably more likely than not doesn't need this type of time. But when you look at Deshaun and you look at the offense, in case you already said that they're installing a new offense, but you also think about the fact that Deshaun hasn't played live action since November, right? And just for continuity's sake, I would like to see everybody get out there and just face a semi-real action. Just not long. I'm looking for a few series. I'd be happy with three series. I remember Deshaun played against the Chiefs last year, threw a great touchdown to David Njoku, and that had everybody feeling a little better. So that's what I'd like to see.
Yeah, like 6 to 8 passes or something, a couple of handoffs, some of I think the way you kind of talked about it, Casey, the production of it all, I think that is kind of, for me with Watson, I see a guy that hasn't taken real reps since November. I know he took the reps in the joint practices, and those are real reps. Like I get that.
But he doesn't get hit. That's the difference. Yeah. Quarterbacks are still off limits.
Yeah, completely. They completely control that aspect of it. Like you're completing passes in joint practices that would be sacks in the real world, and you're not even getting touched in those moments. But so for me, it's always kind of been like, well, there's new install, new offense, new terminology. And I had never really heard lately, you've said it, Casey, and I've heard other people use the word production to kind of to sum it up. And I think that's the best way that it can be, as in terms of that's what I need. That's what I think I need is I need the production. I need you to go out there and just be like, okay, we feel comfortable with the terminology. We feel comfortable with who's the one speaking to the quarterback in the helmet. We feel comfortable about subs, our personnel packages and running people in, getting our 13 out there and our 12 and our 11 and 22 and whatever it is you want to run, whatever types of personnel you're going to regularly run, making sure that as you're making these calls, the assistants are getting the right people on and things like that, because it's just going to be not 100% different, but it's going to be different. It is going to be different than what it has been especially under Kevin Stefanski 2 years ago, Baker Mayfield, Jacoby Brissett, that none of that stuff. Well, there will still be some of that stuff because some of that stuff really works, but you get it. Is there, oh no, hold it. I assume he means shaving. And so my question is there like some statistic that backs up bad things happen when I shave? Because I'm sure there is. I'm sure it exists out there. So I'm confident that Drew knows. I'd rather have prime Mike Tyson speed bag my nutsack than see DTR start the season. And that's the other end of it. That's the other end of it is like, damn, I really don't want him to get hurt. That kind of thing. Yeah, I did. I saw that video that Serge was ready to run through. Listen, 19 days, man, like is a thing that I knew it was a couple of weeks from now, obviously, but once you put it into a number like that, like 19, and 19 is less than 20, and 20 seems like nothing, and now you're less than 20, and you're like, oh, okay, so like 2 Sundays, including the fact that we have no more. Do you want to hear it? You want me to tell you something that will get you excited?
Yeah. What's up? What you got?
There are no more Saturdays in the year 2024 that will not have college football playing. And we're not even talking about the NFL side of things. I'm just talking about college football. We got college football on Saturday.
I'll tell you what, though, the longest weekend of the year is the stupid gap weekend between the preseason ending and the NFL season starting. I hate that weekend.
We used to have a 4th preseason game, so like that's what happened there. But
it's just, it is maddening. It's like they tease us, and then they're like, "Yeah, you can think about football for the next like week and a half."
I think it's good though because everybody gets their fantasy drafts in.
True.
I think that's like the time, the calm before the storm.
Yeah.
It's the right time to do the fantasy draft because if you do it too early, you're going to draft somebody that gets hurt in camp. Right. Like you are going to get somebody that gets hurt in the preseason or camp. Like it's going to happen if you go too early with the fantasy football drafts. And Nick and I are in a league that we're drafting next week.
Yes, we are.
Next Monday.
Monday.
And that's great because that's that gap week. That's the time when when we can have that. So yeah, I think that because of the situation, I would like to see the offensive starters play some this weekend for that reason. But how much does the training camp and preseason stuff matter that we've seen so far? Not really. I mean, I didn't even think about this stat, Casey, until I was watching you on Sports for CLE today as I sent you very inappropriate text messages. I sent them.
You couldn't break me. You can't break me.
I only sent like 3, and they didn't get super inappropriate, but they were gonna. But I was like, nah, man, I don't want to like – Casey's a professional. I don't want to like break him in this moment. Like, but I was
being awfully loose with that word, professional.
Yeah.
I'm a professional. Come on.
When I say, I was like, oh my God, you're sexy. And then I sent him like that hot face where you're like,
dude, that just gave me confidence. That wouldn't break me.
I was trying to get him to laugh. But what I'm saying is, there was a stat that you talked about. 2% of the 2% of plays have been played by starters.
Yeah.
But what was it, like 60-some% were not even played by second, are played by third stringers or further down the depth chart. So
like
think about that.
Yeah.
68?
Yeah.
I thought it was 58. And then you said, so think about it. When I think some things matter in the preseason, but when you think about that aspect of it, you're not even seeing the backups. You're seeing the backups, and the backups in these games. So that's why I'm sitting here. Am I concerned about things? Yes. We're about to talk about that. I'm massively concerned about the topic we're about to talk about. But don't freak out.
Can I give a PSA?
Yes.
I just followed my own fucking advice. It took 2 weeks to remember it. But we came out of last preseason, and I was like putting weight into things I saw that they would mean X, Y, Z in the regular season. The regular season happens. The shit that I thought was going to didn't mean anything. So here I am 2 weeks into this, and I'm like, wait a minute, take a breath. If I wasn't going to do that with the good things, why am I doing that with the bad things?
I did the same thing, man. I did the same thing. And I kind of had that realization when I was listening to a couple of other podcasts I've listened to a couple of national podcasts that were saying not about the Browns, but we're just saying it in general. They're like, who cares? And then you want to know the thing that really put me into perspective? 8 possessions, 8 touchdowns last preseason for Kenny Pickett. Yep. You remember that? He
was plastered on SportsCenter.
Everywhere. He had 8 possessions, 8 touchdowns. And now they don't even think he's going to be the backup in Philly. He's not even going to be the backup. He was horrible this weekend. And there's a chance he doesn't even become the backup, and he may
beat Tanner McKee out.
That's the important part, is who's beating him out. And so it goes both ways.
It's really nice to see Pittsburgh actually draft a bust quarterback in the first round, just for like the tiniest little taste.
We didn't even really get to enjoy it because they only played with it. A couple of years.
That's because they're a good organization, dude. They like,
yeah.
They actually just cut bait and left.
Yeah, they're like, we got it. We cannot do this anymore. They're like,
they knew what a bad quarterback looked like. They did pretty quick. They figured that out, and then they went and got two guys who one I think still has potential, but one I think's cooked.
Yeah.
So, I know they tried. I'll give them credit. They took some swings. They were cheap.
Not to make this too much about them, but I think that their pride is getting in the way of them actually finding a real solution at quarterback.
Well, and here's the problem. They're going to be just good enough every year that they're going to be picking in the teens.
Yep.
And
that ain't high enough, especially the way quarterbacks. I watched Bo Nix go in the early part of the first round this year. 12?
Yeah, because there were 6 quarterbacks in the first 12 picks or something like that.
Yeah, you would, and there is a reason too that every team currently owns their first round pick. Teams know how valuable that first round is these days. These guys get pushed up higher and higher every year, and they're not trading first round picks these days unless it really CeeDee Lamb. But
I wouldn't mind them getting a high pick this year. I think the quarterback class is pretty dog shit. Like if they were going to have a first round pick and swing at a quarterback, they should do it this year.
Yeah, we'll have to see plays out, but like you don't have. We had Caleb Williams. Like this time last year, it was like you knew who was probably going to be a quarterback one. There was even this time last year, everybody was like Caleb Williams and Drake May are really good.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, Jaden Daniels kind of comes back out of nowhere. I mean, he had not coming out of nowhere, but like nobody had him first round, top 5 buzz going into last year. He goes out, wins the Heisman, things like that. But you still had 2 clear top 5 picks in Caleb Williams and Drake May. Like you knew that was going down. And this year, you're just kind of like
Carson Beck and who?
I know some guys, but I'm projecting a lot.
Yeah, a lot has to happen. I'm just saying from this point right now, someone always pops out. Like you just said, Jaden Daniels. You could have said the same thing with Joe Burrow. Going into that season, nobody was like Joe Burrow's QB1. And then he goes out and has a crazy ass year, wins the Heisman, and is a legit QB1. Like I get it. That happens every now and again. But just as we stand here today, if you're comparing this quarterback class to other quarterback classes, this is pretty light in the ass.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good one.
So
that doesn't even fucking matter. So let's talk about is my internet sucking?
You froze for a minute. You were still talking, but your face was like
we got your audio though. So that's what's important.
Old school. It's like what it was like a lot when the show first started in the apartment.
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay. All right. So let's talk about the thing that I am concerned about. The thing that I think you should be concerned about, but I don't think you should be having a meltdown over. So if I were to, and I'll let you guys kind of grade it as well. If I was to put this on a scale of 1 to where, because I think you're always a little worried that something's going to happen. So that would be a 1 where you're like, well, maybe, and a 10 being like, we're not going to win many games because it's this bad. I'm leaning at about a 6 for the offensive tackle position. It's kind of where I'm at, where it's like this time last week, I was just kind of like, yeah, it's weird, but like, we'll probably get Jed back and Jack will come back. And like, I think that Jermaine Ifedi could be good enough. And like, some things like that. And I've got some opinions about Ifedi that I also feel like I cursed him. We'll get to that in just a second because I did curse him on Saturday. That is 100% my fault. Casey is aware of this. I literally called Casey like just a couple of minutes into the game. I don't remember why, but I called him a couple of minutes into the game and I'm like, well, Ifedi looks better than Hudson did. It was like 3 snaps. And then it just fell off the wagon right after that. And I'm like, oh my God.
Damn it, Jacob.
And then everybody started getting hurt and then it was really fucked.
Yeah.
But, like it went from from a 5 in that game to a 10 for a while until I calmed down. But I've heard Pete Smith say this, and I've heard some other people say this. I think the Browns really believed Jed and Jack would be in practice right now.
Mm-hmm.
There is some kind of issue there. I know some people want to throw out the lazy moniker on Jack and say, or not Jack, on Jed Wills and be like, well, he doesn't really love football, so he's not working to get back. We're not in the building, so we can't make that call. But something along the lines with him and with Jack Conklin, and I think with Conklin, because they have DeWand, they're taking it even slower with him just because he's had back-to-back injuries. He's a little bit older, and I think they feel a little bit more comfortable about him just stepping in, being ready without as much of a ramp-up period, or letting him ramp up and let DeWand play as he's the swing tackle or something like that. That's where I think they went wrong. That was the error. They thought that everything else that they made at this position, in the moves for Adeniji, who goes on IR, and which sucks, and Jermaine Ifedi and James Hudson, and they thought all of these were going to be good fallback options because they were going to have their top 3 tackles. Well, they were kind of wrong, and because of that, I'm at a 6, trying to figure out man, we got to get something's got to happen. Somebody else has got to get healthy and get out there because I don't feel great about Jermaine Ifedi and especially about James Hudson potentially starting at left tackle. And, Ifedi played some today, got some first team reps. That is the guy they want to go with right now. Hudson's out this week. I just think where did this go wrong? They thought these guys were going to get healthy. They just haven't. And now they're kind of in a pickle.
Hit the nail on the head. It came down to all their eggs were in the Jedrick Wills basket.
Which is also an error in and of itself.
Yes. Yeah. And I'd be like, I'm past the point of rhetoric. I've been saying this. I'm just following actions. And by their lack of actions, you could tell that that's what they thought. They thought he'd be back in time for camp, and it felt like when they were leaving the green bar, they kind of expected him to come back then.
Yep.
And it just never materialized. And now the Browns' top 3 tackles are all good tackles. Jedrick's above average, not much above. He's not top 10 worthy where he was drafted, but that's not the conversation. The conversation is, are you adequate at your job? That's all. That's what they need right now because they don't have adequate. In my opinion, their best option is when on the IR. Adeniji can pass block. That's what he could do, and he's not an option now. Ifedi's not much resistance in that way. And my main concern is this. You're 19 days from facing Micah Parsons. That's the job. That is the job. There are other talented guys you're going to have to block along the way, but that's where it starts. And you can't just be like, okay, we'll roll pockets right. We'll mitigate what we can, and Njoku is going to be not going out for many routes that game because he's going to have to stay in and chip. And then Deonta Foreman's going to have to do a lot of blocking. You're going to be able to slow him down. Yeah. We watch it every week. We watch this exact same thing where I don't give a shit who your left tackle is. He can't handle Myles Garrett. So everyone else has got to pull up their duties just to slow the dude down enough. That's the mission. But when you do that, when you have to constantly roll right and move the pocket, you're cutting the field in half. You got a defensive back out there who had 9 picks last year and took 5 back for house calls. You don't want to cut the field off. You want everything available to you. And I just don't feel like it's going to be. And even then, say Monday morning, Jed's activated from the pup and he's going to practice. It's still not a lot of time to get ramped up to block that dude. So I think it's going to be rocky at first. But this is just in general. This is nothing offensive tackle. This is just my general consensus. For me, it's all about evaluating my own expectations. So I came into this whole process this year and my expectations were worth what they were. Well, I've dropped my expectations for the offense a little bit, but my defensive expectations have actually risen. But I think this is where I'm living right now. And I'm just looking at the schedule. I think you can afford that kind of imbalance for a few weeks while the offense finds its way. And hopefully along the way, Jed gets healthy, Jack gets healthy, you have your full complement of offensive linemen, you get your best 5 on the field, however that looks, and you start to build. But I just think it might be a little rocky up front.
There's 2 sides of this coin, and I think MC leads into it pretty well because there was the the report today that the Browns might be looking to shop Dorian Thompson-Robinson, hopefully in the interest of offensive tackle help. So on one side of the coin, I think that report doesn't come out by accident, and the Browns are telling you that they are concerned, and rightfully so, right? Like this is not good. You've got more guys getting injured, and you just put another tackle on IR. Not exactly the ideal situation when you can't get the current tackles to come off IR, right? So that's an issue. Now, the other side of the coin for me is that the Browns have shown us, now this was with Callahan, that they could still put together competent passing offense with a very limited tackle situation. The run game went to complete shit, and that's more than just the tackles themselves, but it certainly was a big piece of that catalyst. And we're seeing that. You know, I get it. You don't want to be too concerned about preseason, but the run game has been total awful gobbledygook so far this preseason. So I think you hit the nail on the head, Casey, is that David Njoku is going to be doing an awful lot of blocking, and that is absolutely not what you want him to be doing when he literally just broke out last year.
Wait, hold on. Did you say David Njoku, or did you say Nick Harris?
Oh, are we talking jumbo? We going jumbo package?
I don't know which eyebrow I was trying to raise. I just started doing both of them. I was like, ooh.
Are we? And so I do think that we could see a trade. I do think that they could potentially try to acquire that type of depth, because it's really important to hit the ground running. You play in the best division in football. Now, that being said, Casey, and to your point, Jacob, the Browns have a softer schedule earlier on, aside from Dallas. So there is a little bit of wiggle room there early to maybe get your tackles healthy and get your offensive line going, but I'm rapidly growing concerned with the lack of prep time here.
I love the idea. I will say this, as much as you're afraid of Micah Parsons versus whoever the hell is at left tackle, I love Tyler Guyton, but that rookie's first assignment is Myles Garrett.
Yeah, it works both ways when you play us. But I will say this, even though I don't think the teams are that good in the front of the schedule, it goes Micah, it goes Josh, Hines Allen, Max Crosby, Kayvon Thibodeau. Like those first few games, like that's the position that the other team has. They might not be a good team, but like they all have a very competent pass.
The ability to exploit the thing we're worried about.
That sucks, right?
Yeah.
I didn't even I did for whatever reason, obviously, because when you're still in off-season mode, you're mainly just looking at week one, you know, when you're still, because we're looking at week one, but we're talking about the preseason. We're talking about what's happening in training camp. We're doing all those things. So you don't necessarily always deep dive look ahead. And you said that, I'm like, I had not thought about that. And it's like,
it's like you're trying to install a new scheme, right? You're trying to do these different things, and you've just got this tackle situation that refuses to settle itself. And there's some other weird stuff, like Jacob, to your point too. Like Jack tweeted he was back forever ago at this point, and it's still very clearly not back. I don't know what's going on.
I said it though. I said it when they said that, man. I was like, his personal doctor saying you're clear is not the team doctor.
You did.
His surgeon saying you're cleared for activity is not the team doctor and the trainers. Let's play a game. I want to play a game with you guys. Okay. I went through every team's roster on our lads, searching for backup left tackles, or even some cases right tackles who would be better than our option.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. New York Jets, Max Mitchell. Houston, Charlie Heck. You guys stop me when you're like, hey, let's do that one. Jacksonville, Walker Little.
I actually don't hate Walker Little for this purpose.
I have a couple pie in the sky ones, but I'll skip over those at first. Kansas City, Lucas Niang.
Yeah, I would.
Seattle, George Fant. San Francisco, Chris Hubbard.
Yes.
Chris Hubbard.
I started screaming this last week, and I knew Casey knew what he was doing when he read that name.
I thought you was going to think I was going to say Trent Williams too. So Los Angeles Rams, Joe Noteboom. Arizona, Kelvin Beachum. New Orleans, Storm Norton. That's a dope name.
Absolutely not, dude. Oh my, he is sorry.
New York Giants, Evan Neal. That's more of the Barry thing. Former first rounder.
Yeah. I saw some chatter about Evan Neal.
What I was going to say is some of those names are guys that there were high hopes for that never panned out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there were several names where I'm like, yeah, because here's the thing. Who knows all the backup left tackles in football? No one. So as you read them, though, there were some names where I was like, oh, yeah, I know that guy. Like, I don't hate that idea because I know that. And you know how they are. But, I wanted to do you have more, or do you want me to, or can I pick?
No, there was one that surfaced last year, and we talked about it. Then the trade deadline came and went. Garrett Bowles. You're up to trade an actual asset to get him.
Yeah. And they paid him, right? Yeah. If I'm not mistaken.
Well, the other option would be Trent Williams.
Okay, well, that'd be like,
we
4 years, 4 years later now.
Hey, by the way, do you want to hear? You said San Francisco. Do you want to? So I saw a tweet last night that was everything becoming full circle, and it was a tweet about Josh Dobbs tearing it up in the preseason.
Yep. Yeah, and some people were calling for Purdy's job. I saw.
Yeah, they were like, "Are we sure Josh Dobbs is not better than Brock Purdy?" And I'm like, "Dude, we have done this.
Let him have at it, dude.
Jeez.
We have done this dance." And we've been up close.
I was actually shocked we didn't end up with him again. I figured that was just going to be the cycle of life. We would trade him for assets. We'd wind up back in our camp. He would look amazing in the preseason, and we'd do this all over again.
If Jameis isn't available, like if Jameis wasn't available, he probably would have ended up here.
It would be now, okay, so we didn't dive into this too deeply, but as far as the Dorian Thompson-Robinson rumors go, because maybe that's the avenue you take. Maybe you take Dorian and you need more or something. I'm not sure, but it would be a great story as far as the Browns' perspective that you drafted the quarterback in the 5th round, let him develop for a little bit with enough promise that somebody else is interested enough that they might send you some offensive line help back.
Well, so I've heard it on the OBR and other places have talked about like. Who's got a tackle they would trade, right? Like who's got what you want and is willing. Casey, you've kind of cited the like all NFL teams hate their depth at offensive line. Yeah. It's not as good. Terrible. Every NFL team is having a similar conversation, except a lot of them at least have starters that they know will be out there. Yeah. And that's kind of where we are. Like I said, I'm at a 6. Come Monday, if Jet isn't activated, I'm at a 9. Like or some other move is made. I'm at a 9. But the one thing you could trade to make that happen is a quarterback to a team that's desperate. So then you got to start looking at the desperate quarterback teams and do they have an offensive lineman they're willing to part with? Because that's the one asset. That's the one thing that you are looking at it and you're like, okay, but who's trading a solid offensive lineman? Well, you might be able to get someone to trade one for a quarterback.
So immediately I go to Minnesota, right? AB's old friend, Kwesi.
Well, that's the desperate team, quarterback-wise, because you got Sam Darnold. So you tell me, are you playing Sam Darnold or DTR if you had the option? If he's on your roster.
I'm probably starting the season with Sam. But I think Dorian has more upside. Like Sam's been out there for a while now, and I don't think he's shown you about where he's going to be personally.
The other team that comes to mind is the Raiders. Oh. The Raiders are really rolling with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell.
Okay. Yeah, and Gardner's officially the starter.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So
sneaky good athlete.
Sneaky good. Lunch bell guy.
He was like a guy I was like, you remember before Flacco and we were getting towards the trade deadline and everything, and we were trying to like find a quarterback to trade for that could be average so that we could go to the playoffs. And we're like, you just need to be average. And I was like, God, I'd kill for Gardner Minshew right now.
Dude, I was stumping for Taylor Heineke. I feel you. I remember.
You got me on the Heineke train. Yeah, you got me on the Heineke train. I was definitely like, let's
I remember we talked about that.
Let's pull the trigger. I will say though that if they do sign someone, that's not them. Sorry. The DJ Humphries one does make kind of sense, but like I just don't think they're going to spend the money it would take to get a veteran like that.
Yeah,
I wish. I do.
So, does Minnesota or Las Vegas have a tackle that could make sense for the Browns?
Not in my mind. My mind, you're almost kind of do an NBA trade where you. And here's also my other thing with the DTR thing. You got him for a fifth. But what I've seen out of him and what I believe his upside could be, I don't get rid of DTR for anything less than a day 2 pick. If you're not offering at least a third rounder, I'm not touching it. Now, could you get that second or third rounder and turn around and trade that to get a tackle? That might be an avenue. You're basically looking for someone who's flamed out, someone who was a high pick, first, second rounder. It didn't work out. The team's ready to move on from him. Give him an asset and see if you can do something with him.
Well, what about the avenue with Evan Neal? Now, you're going to ask Evan Neal to go back to left tackle, probably. He's been playing on the right, but he played left tackle at Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not been good for Evan Neal. Like, let me not sugarcoat, like, hey, he was top 5, wasn't he? He was like the 5th overall pick or something.
Yeah, I thought it was like 5th or 6th, but yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in the top 10. He was definitely, very, very top of the round. Had a great career at Alabama. I mean, I loved Evan Neal in that class. Like, this is a really good player. They moved him to right tackle. It just hasn't worked out for him.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Berry loves these reclamation projects. Like, I still don't think they're going to do it. They're not going to pull the trigger. But a team that may be looking for assets because they're not very good,
right?
And somebody's kind of flamed out. Yep. That's kind of the one. Yeah. That's probably, I guess, if I'm sitting here thinking right now, that's one of the ones that makes the most sense for both sides. But again, I don't think they're going to sit pat and do nothing. I don't. I just don't. Either. But I don't know.
I think what they're going to do is going to be underwhelming. I think they're going to I think whatever happens ultimately is not going to be a big splash or a name that's like, we're like the day it happens like that solves that. It won't be like that.
Well, I mean, they tried. These guys keep just getting hurt. You know, they added significant depth, and now here we are, and it's like you're talking about being down 2 more tackles, and so you're bringing back a Corafor who you just got rid of a couple weeks ago.
The problem is this: they have 3 good tackles. They're just not healthy. It isn't like they didn't do shit to get. We're still dealing with last year's bullshit. We were so decimated last year. There's a hangover from those injuries into this season. So it's not like they would have Jack Conklin and DeJuan Jones and Jedrick Wills. Yeah. Like, if those dudes were healthy, like, we feel pretty good about Hudson being the 4th or 5th tackle as opposed to this dude's got to play now. That's scary as shit.
Oh, and by the way, I want to give him his flowers. He was so much better on the right side. He can spot start on the right side. He's playable on the right side.
I'll go with that. I'll go with that last statement. I think.
Well, so somebody goes down and he finishes a game, you feel okay with that on the right side.
Which has been his MO, dude. He's looked okay when he's had to come in mid-game, but when he's known a week ahead of time he's starting, it's been bad every time.
It's almost like he psychs himself out. Like, dude's just chilling, just kind of working out, getting warmed up, and they're like, James, we gotta get you in here, man. He's like, oh yeah,
you didn't have time to get nervous. You're just all of a sudden in it. Get a couple hits in, and all of a sudden you're in the flow, as opposed to being inside your own head. Now, I'm not saying that's what happens, but I'm saying it's a trend. When he's had to come in mid-game, it's been serviceable. Mm-hmm. When it's been like, no, you're the starter this week, no bueno.
There's like some of those trends. I think Nick Foles is one of them that, like, when he just would come in, he'd be fine.
Cold as ice.
Right. But when he was the starter, for whatever reason, so I do think I agree to your point. Everybody needs tackles, right? So the answers right now, short of giving up like massive assets, are going to be limited. And I think that's just the reality of the situation. It sucks. Like you both said, we had 3 tackles. In addition, they brought even more tackles, and they just are hurt. So what are you going to do?
Do you remember the conversation we had about them signing 84 offensive linemen this offseason?
Right.
Seemed excessive at the time, right?
God damn it.
We were like, why are you signing all these offensive linemen? Here we are on August 20th. Why didn't you sign more offensive linemen?
Yeah.
Fuck. It's like this is what frustrates me. This is where I'm at. Okay, so I'm with you, Casey. The last few days I've been kind of down on the season just because it already feels like so much. Like it just already feels like so much has happened negatively. And as you know, I say this all the time, the voices on the internet and in the media that are negative are the ones you hear most. So if you are just listening to the mainstream stuff, the Browns are going to suck. Like that is like, there is a lot of narratives out there telling you they are going to suck. And so I got myself in a little bit of that funk and looking down and I'm looking at it. It's just, we kept saying like, it's got to regress to the mean when it comes to injuries. And then it didn't. Right. And you're just like, what the? And you're just like, we're doing this again. Seriously, we're doing this again. And because of that, I got myself out of it when it's like, you do realize, though, a lot of the guys that have gotten hurt weren't making the roster.
Yeah.
It's just the guys at the one position getting hurt that really bother you because you just don't know who's going to be at the top of it right now. But in the end, if you're down on this team like bad, I think it's a little excessive. Like things can go wrong. Things can go wrong. It has not gone the way we've wanted it to, but that defense is really freaking good. We got guys that they're going to cut that are going to be contributors this year. Summers. Look at Chris Williams. Look at Chris Williams. Just
Jeremiah Martin, Isaiah Thomas. There's going to be guys off that defensive line. I can think of 3 guys that probably don't make it through waivers.
Yeah, you're not even talking about Mo Hurst. You're not talking about the guy that better not be in Cleveland next week.
Well, yeah. Well, I just want to add to that point. It's like I felt like the mood has been low. That's why I put out that playoff hype video to remind people of all the adversity that they overcame last year.
We went to the playoffs with Jerron Christian at left tackle.
Sure did. What's he doing right now?
He's in Tennessee. I already looked it up.
So is Roy Watson. The other guy.
Well, I'll tell you this. I did this. I did the preseason hype last year, and I guess now friend 10-cent beer night made me $100 bet that he said the Browns wouldn't make the playoffs, and I said they would, and I won that bet. So then I had another guy today that offered me what he did. Yeah, he paid me.
Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah, he paid me. So I had another dummy in the replies today that also wanted to make me $100 bet that the Browns wouldn't make the playoffs. So I have made that bet 2 years in a row, and we're going for 2 straight years because I am not. Nope, there's no white flag here. I refuse. They'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. They will not let the season go down in flames because of the stupid tackle position. They just won't. They won't do it. They're too far in. They've committed too much. And if push really comes to shove, they'll do something. I just have faith that they will.
That's where I've come back to. I've said it all off season. I've said it for the last couple of years. I have faith and believe in this team and the people that are running this organization. I believe they've turned it around. And then I went and just got all up in my feels and got all upset and mad and angry and just like, are you serious? The season's over before it started. Like I did the stupid thing and I listened to all the negative stuff. I let myself, and don't get me wrong, you should be concerned about offensive tackle. Like you should.
Right.
But I don't know that means that you should disregard the talent they have everywhere else and disregard the fact that they were able to scheme up ways for the offense to score points with their 5th and 6th tackle out there. Like they did those things. Don't forget they did those things. They can do it again. It's less than ideal. Like you said, Casey, you're going to have to do things like keep an extra offensive lineman in, cut the field in half. There are ways to mitigate it. One way is fix the running game because right now it's bad. But
David Njoku will block his ass off, man. Deontay Foreman will pass block, hit some people too. Love what we've seen from Foreman.
Can we jump to Foreman for a second?
Well, I was going to say this. The cavalry's already there. The thing is, we might have to wait a few weeks. But after Jack gets back and after Jed gets back and you've got DeJuan Jones, you have enough. You have enough of that position. It just might not be there for the first 3-4 weeks.
I just want to add this too.
That's a great. I love the way you phrase that. That's great perspective.
I just want to add this too. Like I get it. We've seen it in very limited spurts, but Sean's mobility he's been really good at dealing with pressure during his career. Now he does hold the ball, and in his Houston days when he was really slinging it, he was one of the most hit, sacked, and knocked down quarterbacks in the NFL, and he still found ways to be successful. Get it? That's a long time ago. I understand that. But my point is having a quarterback who's at least mobile and can make people miss. We've seen him do that already in Cleveland, right? He has not had a great time some of the times with these offensive line situations, and we've still seen him manage to be successful as a passer despite pressure. So I do have some hope there, but obviously he's got to stay healthy, and he's been banged up a whole bunch. So like there's reason for concern, but I don't think it's panic. So I guess, Jacob, just to circle back and finish your question, I mean, like I'm probably at about a 6 with you. Probably about.
Yeah, where are you at, Casey? I forgot to ask that question.
4.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Calm one.
And that's really funny though that I think traditionally me and Nick can be much more overly optimistic than you because you're more reasonable than us most of the time.
Well, I was at a 7 2 days ago. I've just had time to process it, and I just look, man. I know
it's shit on what I just said, but okay.
Well, no, I mean, it feels like the sky was falling, dude. Like
I know, I was too.
It was like looking at all these tackles, and when Adeniji went down off that pick by Huntley, it was he was the one that I was like, okay, at least have one guy that can pass block.
Yep.
He ain't gonna give you much as a run blocker, but that dude can pass block. And I felt like if he had to start for 2 games, I think that you could do that one thing. And then it was like, okay, of course he's hurt. But survive. Fucking survive. If you're smart enough to do it, survive for a couple weeks. You get these guys back, get them acclimated. It might take a week or two, bumpy play, but I feel good. And then, like, I don't know. For me, then it becomes the whole equation is get your best 5 on the field. I don't give a shit what that looks like. You figure that out. Get your best combination and let them work. And God willing, they stay healthy long enough to get some cohesion, and then you can really start to cook on offense.
Do you want to hear something? I forgot completely about this. This is I want to read you something. I'm going to read you a starting offensive line.
Okay. I'm ready.
Yeah.
Left tackle Jonah Williams, left guard Quentin Spain, center Trey Hopkins, right guard Hakeem Adeniji, right tackle Riley Reeve. That's a bad offensive line.
Yeah.
It played in the Super Bowl that year.
Objectively 21, huh?
That is the 2021 Bengals offensive line that was awful. They went to the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Quarterback play, of course, don't get me wrong. Jamar Chase was insane as a
Yeah.
They had T and they had Joe Mixon, but you got Chubb, you've got Njoku, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy. So it's like if your quarterback can play to that level.
And they had some key pieces on defense. That's like when Jesse Bates really made a name for himself. You know, that they had guys that were stepping up on that side of the ball. Mm-hmm.
The defense is what got them to the Super Bowl once they got in the playoffs, because that defense in the playoffs was, don't get me wrong,
they
the offense
played bad
was still
teams. They played the Raiders
and the
played an overhyped Titans team. Like it was a perfect recipe.
But still, it was a bad offensive line in the Super Bowl. I was just trying to be optimistic.
No,
and you're right. You can, and that's the thing is you just named that offensive line, and you can name 4 of our starters: the Bitonio, Pochich, Teller, DeWan. Like that's great. If that's 4 of your 5
that are good. Period. Like it's one. So
and you know, a little perspective
he
too.
Apparently, is mad at you, Casey. He does not like you being sensible.
Like, okay, let's just talk about this for a second. Nick Herbig, the Steelers center, just got put on IR. Right, the Bengals' new drafted tackle is out for like who knows how long.
Marius Mims with a pec injury.
Yeah,
Roderick Jones is playing like poop.
Yeah,
it's already happening. It's happening. It's not just happening in the Browns.
The Ravens have 3 new offensive linemen that they didn't have last year starting for them.
Right.
Hey,
we're not even the worst in our division, let alone.
No,
it's all good.
It was really good this weekend.
I'm sorry. You
cut out.
Yeah, you cut out. Can you say it again?
Foreman was good this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
As a receiver.
You finally got dude, that one dude like in I don't know if it was, I think it was Zagura that pointed it out on the replay. Like that one dude legitimately was like, I'm just gonna stick my arms out and tackle this running back. And Foreman looked like a car that barely hits a speed bump. It's like he just kind of went like this. And he just like kind of shifted a little bit, and you're like, oh, you're bringing that to the table. I just wanted to give him some kudos and some props because you saw why I was huge on that signing. Like I literally tweeted, oh yes, and people were like, oh, well, you're open. I'm like, no, like situational stuff. Like he's not there to you're not signing him to cut Nick Chubb, but while Nick Chubb's out, or even complimenting Nick Chubb.
Yes, he has a role.
He has a role all year.
I don't give a shit who's there. You need that hammer.
He
They didn't even block for him on his touchdown.
Nope.
He did it himself. Damn it! Like,
do you know who
you get to the 1 yard line and you just run it 4 times with him? You're gonna get in.
Do you know who had the most receptions against the Vikings? For the Browns?
Yeah.
Deontay Foreman, man. And second most receiving yards at 46, 9.2 a reception there. Like that is, I'm telling you, man, that seems like one of those signings. Like I remember when the Browns last year signed Shelby Harris, I remember it was late in the year. I know it's not exactly the same timeline, but it was just a guy who had been there and done it. And we were really happy about that signing. And everyone was like, whoa, if he was really that good, he'd already be on the team. Blah, 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 blah. Shelby Harris played a really significant role for the Browns last year. I think Deontay Foreman, just on the other side of the ball, could be that dude, that type of signing this year.
Shit.
You are frozen on the unfortunate place right now.
Is it?
Yeah. You look like a mannequin.
Is that like a joke about my?
No, you're just
completely still, and it's just
it just hasn't been very kind to you. The freezes have not been very kind, but I do. While Jacob's internet hopefully starts cooperating with us, I do have one thing that I get it. It's a little bit of speculation, but we've got CeeDee Lamb over here, and he's following a whole bunch of Browns.
Is that what's happening? I didn't know what was going on. All of a sudden, I just seen you post a picture of Coop and CD in their days in Dallas. Is that where that's stemming from?
Yeah. He's I know he followed Cooper before, but I don't think he followed these other Browns. And now all of a sudden he's following a bunch of other Browns, and obviously he's not happy with the Cowboys, right? And my theory there is, obviously the Browns were telling you that they could have paid Brandon Ayuk, but because they were involved in trade rumors, right? Mm-hmm. So if they could have paid Brandon Ayuk, I don't think it's a stretch to say that they could potentially pay CeeDee Lamb. Now, I don't know what type of assets you'd have to give up, or if that's even realistic. But CeeDee's the one. CeeDee's the one following Browns on Instagram, right? He like that. I don't think he's doing that. I think he's trying to draw as much attention to this situation as he can.
Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. I have already emotionally let myself go of getting another wide receiver when the Ayuk thing stalled out. And I just got tired of it, to be honest with you. I started even hearing about what's going on with it when we were out of it. I'm like, I'm done. Yeah. This dude's exhausting. And I don't know if my heart can go through it again. So I'm not going to be invested.
I get it.
If it happens, it happens. But I have other more pressing needs in my mind right now.
I agree.
Than wide receiver. Although there'd be no lack of celebration if you're able to sign CeeDee fucking Lamb. Like if you're able to pull that off. But I'm not going to let myself get invested in there just so I don't have to go through heartbreak again.
The Browns have already fleeced the Cowboys once with Amari, and they Jerry Jones sounds about as tone deaf as an owner negotiator as I've heard. It just, for whatever reason, man, it's like because behind CeeDee Lamb, you're looking at like 32, and as a 34-year-old, this feels bad, but like 32-year-old Brandon Cooks, and I'm not even.
What's up with the Jalen Tolbert slander, Nick? Jalen Tolbert doesn't do it for you.
I'll tell you what, I drafted him and got burned on a lot of fantasy teams because I thought Jalen Tolbert was going to be
Jake
something.
Ferguson, Turd Ferguson, and
I do like Jake Ferguson. He's a very solid tight end. Yeah. But
I don't know. I just think Jerry at this point, Jerry's not really running the team. It's his son and other people. Jerry's the front man. He's the one everyone pays attention to. And for some reason, they can't get him to shut the hell up. And he just makes it worse.
Yeah.
Which is like, whatever. As someone who has to play them week 1, whatever, man. Sure. Keep that dude out of camp. For as long, I'm cool with that. But I have a hard time believing they have decisions to make. Obviously, you got Micah, you got Dak, and you got CD.
Right.
You can probably keep 2 of the 3, and you might be able to keep all 3. You know, they just don't spend money. They spend the least amount of cash of any team in the league, and they're worth the most of any team in the league. It doesn't make sense.
Nope.
But I can't imagine them letting those guys go. But that's 3 of them. That's gonna be hard to get them all. And
the price doesn't go down, right? Like if Jamar Chase signs his deal tomorrow, right? CD's going to want more than whatever that new record-setting Jamar Chase deal is going to be.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying that the Cowboys, you look at what the Cowboys have done. You look at how they've handled this Dak situation. You look at their running back situation. They brought Zeke back. That's their big addition. And Jerry's saying they're all in, and the wide receivers pissed. And let's just say, it's not good to be missing camp. You see guys that hold out of camp have soft tissue injuries more, not wishing injuries on anybody, but I'm just saying.
Dr. Moore say that tonight. Yeah.
Right. And so there's a lot of stuff there, man, that like say the Cowboys underperform this year, right? Do they just push the red button and say, we're going to start over? Like, I feel like that's between your quarterback being unsigned and Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb. Those are your 3 most important, probably 3 of at least the top 5 most important players on the team.
Yeah. Without question.
So factual, man. Never know.
Yeah. I'll let you do the hoping for me.
Okay.
So I don't have to go through the heartbreak.
I can't help it.
We wake up and Dallas gives him the bag, but
yeah,
it is interesting that he's following Browns players.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay, Jacob's saying that he's working on it on his I can't talk. Jacob's saying he's working on it on his end. So I'm not sure if he's going to be back or not. But I do just, like, we briefly touched on Deontay Foreman, and I just wanted to ask you, Casey, did any other Browns stand out to you from the preseason game against the Vikings?
Yeah, I mean, a couple did, but here's the thing: when you sit 39 players, the players you're going to get to watch are going to be the bottom of your roster more than likely. Right. And there's a player who looked really good, and I still don't think he's going to make the team offensively. But Zaire Mitchell-Payton, DMP, looks legit. Looks like a legit tight end. I'm very hopeful that they're able to sneak this kid on the practice squad and be like a game-to-game call-up, because he's the guy that you could call up to run 12 personnel. He's big. He had so far through the preseason, he's got 7 catches for 79 yards. Both those lead the team in preseason stats. And I mean, he looks the part, man. You want to develop people, so hopefully you can get him to a practice squad and continue to develop him, because he's a guy that if he keeps developing this time next year might be part of the 53.
It's an interesting piece to think about, because I thought of you today because I saw a rumor report, whatever, that Jelani Woods could potentially be a cut candidate, and I meant to send that to you.
My sweet prince, Jelani Woods. Never gonna give up on you, Jelani. Come to me. I won't give up on you.
Can you imagine if he was a Cleveland Brown?
I can't, dude. I can't.
He's an absolute athletic freak.
He was older coming out of college, so I knew we weren't going to draft him because that's not what we do. But let him develop in the league a little bit. Now he has injury concerns. That's probably why he's fell out of favor where he's at. But like skill-wise, the dude runs like a Clydesdale with the ball in his hands. He's like 6'7", like just a prototypical, like a Gronkish tight end. He has Gronk-like abilities, and injuries have stopped him to this point. But if you could get him, I'd be happy. The other tight end they have, Mo Alley Cox. If he were to get cut, I wouldn't be mad at that either. But when
Yeah.
I look at our roster, I find it hard pressed to believe they're going to roster 3 tight ends now. I've just done the numbers game, looked at it so many times, so many different ways. Unfortunately, it kind of feels like my boy Mikey Trees is on the outside looking in right now.
Tough situation there.
Yeah, but it's a numbers game. It is what it is. And I can't be mad at them if they keep 10 offensive linemen.
Sure. Right.
Like, you're seeing it like, God damn, you better.
Yeah.
You better keep 10. So, yeah, it might just be a numbers game. And I don't think they're ready to give up on David Bell. So, and I was saying earlier, if you're going to be if they're going to keep 7 tight end or 7 wide receivers, that 7th wide receiver better be a demon on special teams.
Yeah.
To justify the spot. And I don't think that's who he is. I think those guys will come from the defense, and that'll be extra cornerbacks or a linebacker that kind of is that special teams ace.
That's probably fair. And yeah, I'm not sure about the David Bell thing, because honestly, I think Michael Woods is to me feels more promising. To me feels like he has a little more physically than David Bell does. Right. But they do not like to give up on their draft picks. And so I'm just, although, I mean, you did draft Michael Woods too, but they drafted David Bell higher.
Yeah. David was into the 3rd. Woods is a 6th. And I do think this new style of offense with choice routes kind of benefits someone like David Bell to be a possession receiver who can just find openings and read the field the right way. He isn't going to be as dynamic as a Michael Woods would be, but you could also, I think you could probably sneak Michael Woods onto a practice squad. I think that he, and that's the other thing we got to start looking at now as we round into this 3rd game, when we're going to spend the entire second half watching players, start tagging guys, start looking at guys through a different lens. They're probably not making this roster if you see them play deep into the second half, but they're looking at their depth to see who they want to try to keep around if they can. I don't think they're going to have the option with some people. I think that some people have already put too much good shit on tape that another team's going to need an Isaiah Thomas. So if you want to try to sneak him in your practice squad, you can try it. But I think that dude could play meaningful minutes somewhere, on a team that's maybe thinner. You just happen to play for the deepest defensive end room in football.
That is a good problem to have, but certainly not very much fun on cut down day. So, well, I mean, we'll see what this final preseason game brings, because it seems like they're going to give. I don't know. I agree with what you and Jacob said, that the defense is probably going to be the group that plays a lot less of the starters overall. So maybe not a lot of changes, but at the same time, maybe a guy like Isaiah Thomas really gets every bit of the opportunity to say, hey, this is why I should make the team.
Yeah, I was actually looking at a 53-man prediction by Chris Easterling of the Akron Beacon Journal. He had Isaiah McGuire off of it too. He didn't have him making it.
Really?
There's a couple of stunners he had on the guys that I kind of consider as locks. But yeah, let's do a little quick exercise. You've been watching the Browns for a long time. Give me your top 4 Browns preseason players of all time. Like guys who probably didn't even go on to do shit, but like in the preseason, man, they tore it up.
Right.
And they made you believe for a little bit.
Okay. Oh my God. This is like disrespectful to him, but I can't even remember the receiver's name last year that lit it up.
Austin Watkins Jr.
Austin Watkins Jr. I'm sorry. I don't mean to disrespect you, Austin, because
he's probably not going to make it in Philly either. He's probably going to be on their practice squad. So
right. I don't know. And I know this is probably recency bias, but I don't know that I've seen another Browns quarterback light it up. Like Dorian lit teams up last year. That was so much fun. So he's definitely got to be up there for me. I don't know why my brain is non-functional today, but I can never remember his name. Jacob always tells me, because he's the wide receiver that caught that like unbelievable pass against Atlanta. I think he went to Detroit afterwards, and he was doing the guitar strumming. Oh God.
Kadarius Hodge.
Kadarius Hodge. You're really good at these names. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Which I guess shows you how insignificant some of this, like,
But that's the thing. The preseason, it feels significant at the time because you're seeing him make these plays. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not. Like one for me was Isaiah Crowell. When Isaiah Crowell came on in that preseason, it was like, what the? This kid he was a former SEC freshman of the year, gets in trouble ends up at like Alabama State.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we sneak him in. But kid looked amazing. I remember that final game against Chicago. I mean, he tore it apart, man, and that's how he made the roster. He stuck around for a few years, you know.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, well, I'll never forget when he wiped his ass with the Browns towel, and then the Browns proceeded to come back against the Jets.
Open those fridges, baby.
I think that was Crowell's last NFL stop.
Yeah, I don't remember him going anywhere after New York.
I think, okay, if I had to give you one last preseason star, I really liked. I guess all these guys are on offense, but I really liked Damon Sheehy Giuseppe.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That was a feel-good story, you know.
Yeah.
I remember like when we didn't keep him. I wrote an article that night about practice squad guys that they should try to keep around, and he was at the top of my list. He was a lot of fun to watch.
Oh,
suck it!
Hey,
love it. Hey,
have you been listening, Jacob?
No.
Okay, I need you to give me one Browns preseason all-star from your fandom. Give me one player that balled out for the Browns in preseason, and that's why you remember him as a preseason hero.
Do I have to like look back, or can I say Austin Watkins?
You can. No, that's fair. Yeah. He was already named, but you can say it.
Austin Watkins had like an unreal run. Like not just necessarily the statistics. Like, yeah, the statistics were good. He had some good plays. They very memorable, had a lot of fun. But I think it was the fans that were willing to die for that man. Like fans were like, listen, this dude is the dude, and if Barry cuts him, he needs fired. Like, I mean, there was real people saying that, and for that reason, I will always have a special place in my heart for Austin Watkins.
He was leading, if I'm not mistaken, he was leading all preseason receivers in yards.
I believe so.
And so that led into my other piece of that answer, which was Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Like, that's the thing, man. Like, I just wanted to bring this up, I guess, is because after last year's preseason, and we talked about this a little bit, I was expecting fireworks and all this fun, you know, from the Browns preseason this year, and we just haven't gotten that. So I guess I have a whole new appreciation for how special, especially having the Hall of Fame game, that extra game, like that was really special last year.
When you really break down what they've done offensively, just from like a play calling and like scheme standpoint, it's been the most vanilla, boring offense we've ever seen. Like, it feels like the set 2017 Browns offense out there was like,
shit. Kaiser lit it up in the preseason. What you talking?
He did.
You guys remember Brogan?
Roback.
Yeah.
Brogan Roback.
Yeah,
that's a name. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Cajuce was out there.
David Cajuce. And oh man, you could really get into some
get into the weeds, baby.
Heartwarming stories there. I'm trying to think of John Kelly. John Kelly
was a preseason beast for a few years.
Up until recently.
He's a Raven, by the way.
He's a Raven now.
He had like 5 yards per carry last week of the preseason. just if we want to talk about preseason darlings, that just happened.
Yep. Okay. Well, because Jacob's made it back, I don't think we could have closed the show without you, Jacob. I was hoping
you're holding on for dear life.
Right. So with that being said, we are on the cusp here of a 10 p.m. preseason game. Can't wait for that. God. It's gonna be like West Coast college football or something. I don't know.
Casey, are you doing that the OBR's post game?
I don't know.
I heard you guys say you were going to do it after the game.
Great question. I mean, if I'm your boy's going, I work that morning. I have to be up at like 4:30.
Good old 24-hour day
Saturday morning. So I'm gonna have to be taking a monster nap.
Yep. I know that life. Okay. Well, we're going to do that. And then suddenly we're going to be here in the season. So we may, I've been talking to Bangalorean, spoiler alert. We may have another opponent preview if we can, it just ended up being harder than we thought to get some people to come chat with us. I'm not really sure why that is, but we may have another opponent preview. Like I said at the beginning of the show, 1,000 subscribers will give away a Browns jersey. Got lots of homage stuff coming. We're going to give away an homage shirt too. I've just been behind on that. We love them. These shirts are soft and wonderful. I'm already ready for calf season 2. You got Darian Scarlett and Donovan Mitchell. With that being said, this has been a preseason review, maybe trade for CeeDee Lamb, offensive line concern, back up to the backup left tackle, Casey Kinnaman, Barking Brown Show. Nick, he's Casey. That's Jacob. Go Browns.
Browns. Banoosh.